Karen doesn't realize I'm a citizen, tries to enslave wife and I with fake debts. Story about somebody much more well-off than I expecting me to meet their financial obligations, while demanding that I falsify medical paperwork and commit insurance fraud while withholding pay. Basically, my wife and I had just immigrated back to the US and needed jobs and a place to stay. We thought we'd struck gold when a fabulously wealthy woman hired myself as a groundskeeper and maintenance guy, and my wife as a cook and maid for her elderly parents. The pay was low, but part of it involved being able to live rent-free in the second house on the estate. The elderly couple were extremely senile, but still the sweetest old folks you can imagine. It was a really nice property, so for a few months everything was great. Then about 3 months in, my wife noticed the pantry, which was itself bigger than our living room, was not being restocked by the grocery delivery company that normally did these things. We contacted our employer, who flew into a rage that managing that sort of thing was our responsibility, so she had canceled the delivery service without telling us. It became apparent that she fully expected us to notice and take care of it ourselves.
When I asked her how she expected us to buy groceries for her parents, when she didn't even tell us she had canceled the service, she became extremely irate. Direct quote, "Then why the fuck do I sign a check to each of you every week for?"
Yeah, this bitch earnestly thought we should be using our personal paychecks, which were not very big, to pay for her parents' upkeep. After much deliberation, she grudgingly left us a credit card to go out and buy groceries for her parents, which added to our workload at no extra pay, but we didn't have anywhere else to stay, and no other job lined up, so we just dealt with it. Well, another few months go by and she contacts us again. She wants us to sign something. The paperwork shows up, and it's requests for medical documentation from an insurance company. The chick wants us to attach our timesheets to it, sign it, and send it back to the insurance company. Well, I read it, and it becomes apparent she has elder care insurance to pay for live-in nursing services, and has told them we are nurses so she can try to get them to pay our wages. I contact her and inform her that we have not provided medical care, are not licensed to, and will not fill out the paperwork. K-mother of all shitstorms. Karen goes nuts screaming into the phone about how much she has done for us and we owe her, how she will report that we are neglecting her parents, and then call immigration on us and have us deported. I don't think she ever realized I am a citizen and my wife immigrated legally. I tell her that what she is asking us to do is fraud, and that I'd rather get fired than arrested for a felony. I tell her she has 90 days to find a replacement for us, and we will be moving out. Things devolve into her screaming about how much money she has, and how she is besties with the cops and has a bunch of expensive lawyers to sue me with. I suggest she asks one of those lawyers how they feel about defending her for insurance fraud and hang up. My wife and I continue our services for the old folks while looking for a new place because they were actually super nice and the situation wasn't their fault. They were also very senile, mistaking us for other people they knew, forgetting they had kids, etc., etc., so they can't be held accountable for their daughter's behavior as they lack any ability to intervene. Then instead of a paycheck, I get a bill for the last 8 months of rent, and a note that she isn't paying our wages until we pay her back for everything we owe her, plus interest. She had valued the rent of the second house provided in our contract at more than she paid us monthly, so we'd never actually be able to pay it off. Yeah, this bitch actually tried to make us into indentured servants. So, without responding, I continue performing my duties, studiously keeping logs on our hours, and retaining all the receipts for how much more we owed her. 90 days go by without a paycheck. We purchased groceries using the card she provided, which she added to our debts. We document everything. About a week before the 90-day, we contact 2 government agencies. First, the State Department of Labor to report exploitation. Second, Adult Protective Services to inform them that an elderly couple that requires caretaking are going to no longer have caretakers and that their daughter has refused to provide it. Then we call her and inform her she is going to be receiving some phone calls from these agencies shortly and should probably contact her attorney. There was about a 60-second dead silence on the phone, then hysterical laughter, and she hung up. Okay, not the response I expected, but fuck it. 1 more week and we're gone. 8 hours later, she shows up in the driveway in a rental car. This bitch bought a one-way plane ticket to come out to the estate and report us to the cops for trespassing on the property. This, of course, doesn't work because we have a tenancy contract, and if she wants us gone, she has to utilize the legal eviction process. She then tries to claim we are illegal aliens, which a quick glance in our wallets at our IDs by the cops proves false. She is starting to shriek at them about if they know who she is or how expensive her lawyers are. The cops look that unique combination of irritated and amused that cops dealing with some dumb shit they aren't allowed to comment on get, and advise her not to talk to us or attempt to enter or go near the guest house. She moves into their house that night and presumably takes over our duties. I would go out on the balcony every day for the week before I left to drink my coffee, and smile as I stared across the big luxurious lawn to see her standing in the picture window, arms crossed, glaring death at me. To make a long story short, the expensive lawyers she has convince her to pay our back wages with additional interest for violating state labor laws by withholding them. Turns out trying to enforce actual slavery is still illegal after all. Who knew? Story 2, entitled Karen Wants Bikini-Wearing Girls to Cover Up at the Beach During a Heatwave. Epic Ending. This happened the summer prior to the COVID-19 crisis. I live in a small beach town and was at the beach with my brother and our friends. Keeping anonymity, I'll rename the ones mentioned. Kyle =, my brother Josh =, my brother's friend Luna =, Josh's girlfriend. While Kyle and Josh were surfing, Luna and I were sunbathing on the beach. It was hot and about 100 degrees, so we were in bikinis. We were talking about the usual stuff when I noticed some teenager who looked like he was 15 or 16 watching us. Luna and I ignored him, but only until he started getting closer and closer to us. Luna is short, but she's incredibly muscular from working out hours every day, so she seems intimidating to a lot of people. Anyway, when the guy was too close for comfort, arm's distance away from Luna and me, I asked if there was something he wanted from us, because he'd been watching us for at least 15 minutes. The guy never looked at my face, just my chest. Yeah, I was in a bikini, but I was covered. The guy's mom, our Karen, came over to Luna and me at this point, then asked if we could cover up. Luna looked at Karen with a really expression, and Karen had that entitled face. "It's only fair. You're distracting my son, and I'm afraid you'll seduce him with your slutwear." Luna and I looked to each other and burst out laughing. I know it was kind of rude, but when would you hear cover up? At the beach during a heat wave. Kyle and Josh came back to us, and Josh asked if everything was okay. Karen pitched a fit that Luna and I were seductive and flashing her son. "Only in your son's dreams, lady. We were not flashing your son." Karen looked like she was going to slap Luna, so Josh stepped between them to keep them apart. Kyle saw a patrolling cop on the boardwalk and waved him down. The police officer had the red hair, like my brother and me. He waved to Kyle and me, then came over and asked if everything was all right, and if there was a problem. Karen looked smug. "These sluts were trying to seduce my baby boy. Arrest them for exposing themselves to a minor." The police officer just looked from Kyle and me back to Karen. What he said next was epic, to me anyway. "Lady, my cousin is not a slut. Your son isn't a baby. And if you had any brains at all, you'd teach your son to respect women and not see them as scantily clad objects during a heat wave. By the way, do you see the ocean? We're at a beach. My cousin can wear anything she likes." Karen's jaw dropped. Then she grabbed her son's arm and pulled him away while Kyle and me, Josh, and Luna were just grinning. I didn't just soak up the sun. I basked in the awesomeness of my police officer cousin.